Welcome, football stalkers. It's your boy, the master tactician, fan, Khoza, Irvin. Whew. Yeah, yee. Solo's doing the things, Parrot's doing the things, Sanon's doing the things, Maritzburg doing the things. Eh, But look, what will happen is we all just witnessed the game um, between Orlando Pirates and Swallows FC. What an entertaining game. The original Soweto derby, end-to-end stuff. From the first whistle, you saw two quality teams. Even in the second half, some interesting tactical battles going on between the two teams. The games from yesterday, the Chiefs and Maritzburg won, and also the Baroka and Sundowns won. Very interesting stuff, I must say. Um, Touching base on, let's say, the game that we just witnessed just a few minutes ago between um, Pirates and Solos FC. First half, I would give it to Swallows. Swallows were a team that looks like they're second on the log. Very good team. Very well structured in the way they play, the way they're trying to press Orlando Pirates when they don't have the ball, the way they move the ball. Interesting, obviously, the combination between Tibedi and Lebogang Mokoena in the middle of the park, and also um, their defense, the way they're so solid, Ungobo and Litladika there being the rock of the team. And Alan Freeze has also grown as a goalkeeper as well. He's good. He's made a couple of saves as well. I mean, the way he was able to come out off the line by disturbing Hoto, he did it like three times in the game, um, which one can say that it did affect the game. He saved his team, and also Hamaldine, he does look sharp. He does look like a guy who scored 8 goals. He made Sunderland's to save, I think, two chances in the game. Um, he has been keeping the defense very busy. The runs that he's making off the ball behind the defense, between the defenders, so very good. The way that Swallows plays, they do seem like a team that deserves to be second on the mark in the way they play. It's not by fluke, but it's the way they play. The personnel they have there, a mixture of experience in your Vuyo Merez, your Lebham Mokoena, um, and your Hamaldine, but also with the youngsters like Tibedi, who are full of running as well. Matlava, unfortunately, getting the injury that he's got, but yeah, I would say interesting stuff. On the Pirate side, well, it seems like it's a thing now for every game, and I'm not sure this is a classic case of Bafana Bafana where you are always gonna find that people are gonna criticize the selection, the team selection, and with Pirates, I can say that when I first looked at the sheet, um, I wasn't critical at all. I would look at Malco. I saw probably his inclusion was the fact that he's young, he's a pacey, so probably they're looking at him to bomb down and give Vuyomeri some problems, which we saw a number of times the battle Marco and Mary. So I could see the idea behind it. And in the middle of the park, I think what works for Pirates is by having Monari, Ben, and Makarenge. That combination seems to work. And also up front, people don't understand why Chukwuemeka is there, but we all know that it's basically a choice between Chukwumanja and Mahango. And Mahango hasn't been the same since COVID. Mahango came back, he wasn't the same. I don't know whether it's the fact that he was chasing the top goal scorer last season, that his confidence somehow went. People are more alert when he's playing. Um, he needs to reinvent himself in terms of motivating himself even more than before. And we can see the difference when Labasa's not there. Mabasa was the kind of striker that came on as a sub and made the change or maybe the impact in the game. But now those two are not available. So we have Chugumanja, who's full of running, he's everywhere, but there are times where he does make questionable decisions. But now it's a question of between him and Mahango, who do you go for? Now, Mahango in the second half, basically, he justified his inclusion when he was brought in because he was more composed when he had the ball. He was taking on the defenders, which I would say Lodge was probably not doing majority of the game. Lodge was absent in the first half. And you kind of ask that question, why are they not taking on the defenders? They're the wingers. Ule relishes that challenge always when he's on. And Lodge was just not in the game. But in the second half, that's when we started seeing more of Lodge. Mahango also, when he came on, we saw him more on the ball. He was taking on the goal that Pirates scored is because Mahango was composed. He was taking on defenders, which resulted in obviously the deflection going to Lodge, who then teed up Ben Mutswari. Um, but I would say Hoto, I would be very critical of his performance because, as much as I can give credit to Freeze on his position and how he worked Hoto, but I can be critical of Hoto and say that Hoto could have done better. There are times where, when he's being fed the ball, the only thing he needs to do is just try and beat the goalkeeper. And when I say beat the goalkeeper, I'm talking about taking a shot on target. But he hasn't been doing that. All he's been trying to do is I would I counted about two times where he was given a through ball and he wanted to have an extra touch when he should have just shoot the ball. The goalkeeper's out of his line. See if you can beat either his left or right. At least try something. But he didn't do that. So that's the problem that I had with Hoto, where he seemed to have too many touches where they were necessary in the game. But I wouldn't. The 1-1 draw is not really a true reflection of the game because you also you also had the penalty that was denied. That was a clear penalty. There's no question about that. Makaringe was fouled. I think I think the problem, and this is probably sometimes the problem with the honest players. We want players to be honest in the way they play. We don't want players faking injuries or faking being fouled or anything like that. But now, when you see something like that where a player was fouled, but because at the time his mindset was more about trying to get to the ball or him getting to the ball, and only after he's like, okay, so I've been touched, so and falling afterwards, but only the referee to perceive it as some form of diving, which wasn't. The player Makaringe was fouled. That was a clear penalty. Um, and also the linesman, that Hoto chance as well when Pirates was one up, wrong call from the refs. And you know our referees, and I know there's a call for professionalizing of referees in South Africa, and I support that because you know as a linesman, one of the basics is don't don't run with the ball or don't run with the last player of the opposition. Stay with the opposition. Stay in line with the 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 side. Well, let me say, stay in line with the last player of the team that's defending the side that the referee is guarding against. That way, they always need to wait for the sound of a ball being kicked. But now, what's happening is these guys are constantly moving or in positions where they shouldn't be, and they're not as. And the thing is, guys, this is the reality. These referees are not as quick as the professional players. They're not. So for them to, you see them running, and then just because he's almost looking at the gap and saying, "Oh, but the player's ahead, so therefore it's offside." Not because you saw it, but because he assumes that just because that player's there is offside. So that's the problem I have. Is we're always going to have the situation of wrong offside calls because of their wrong position of these linesmen. But anyway, going back to yesterday's game, I mean, look, Zwane, Zwane taking off from where he left off, really. Um, the guy in the first half, Sundowns wasn't as fluid or as easy on the eye as I would like, but um, they I would say in the second half you almost got the sense that and Baroka was very solid in the way. I mean, you could see that the plan was be solid at the back and let's see if we can catch Sundowns on the break. But um, they weren't as lethal or as deadly on the counter Baroka like we normally see. It almost as if they had no plan going forward because whenever they had the ball, it was always just kick it forward, and but you don't have the height to challenge Nascimento or Brian or Onyango. So, in terms of attack, I can say Baroka weren't. I couldn't really see the plan, and the plan wasn't something that I could say that was going to give Baroka FC the win. And probably I was going to say, okay, Baroka is looking for a draw. But if Sundown scores first, the game plan will be thrown out the window and probably going to see more goals, which is exactly what happened. Thanks to the free kick by Ulake, who, as soon as he scored, then you started seeing the Sundowns that everybody loves seeing when they pass in the ball. And also, I can attribute to the introduction of Augustin Serino and also George Maluleka. When these players were introduced, you saw a different Sundowns in the way they play, which of course resulted in Serino with yet another assist to Utemba Zwane, who scores his nine. He's leading the pack now with the goals. Um, Utemba, since him getting the player of the season, he almost seems as if he's just taken on another level and he's enjoying it. So it's good to see that there is uh, that from players because normally when players win awards the following season, their performance tends to drop. But Utemba, he almost enjoyed it and he now went up another level of him now just scoring for fun. And obviously, there's already people tipping him to to repeat what Uteko Mitiso did by winning 2 years in succession. But I think he's got a strong competitor in leadership. Really did. He obviously he's still raw, so there's a lot more that he needs to do. But yeah, but Uzama Uzwane just doing what Uzwane does. On other game, we spoke. I did say that Middendorp, as soon as he came in his first game, it was against Sundowns. You can see Middendorp what he's doing, and the impact is immediate. Now, it's been a couple of days, a couple of games, and one probably would say maybe what you see from what you see from Maritzburg probably is because it's a new coach, so there's a bit more energy with the players. It'll be interesting to see if they'll be able to continue to perform the way they do throughout the season. But I can bet and say Maritzburg will avoid relegation this season. The way they play, Middendorp proving a lot of doubters. Yes, his style of play at Kaizer Chiefs wasn't necessarily something that Chiefs fans would want or to associate that brand with, but what he did was get results, and unfortunately, he was unable to get the results in the last day of the season, which resulted in Sundowns winning the league. but Kevin Hunt is struggling. Yes, they won in the Champions League and they progressed into the group stages, but here domestically they're having a terrible one. I think there's been obviously people asking the question, what will happen to Chiefs in the group stages because their home run is just, and this is something that you rely on when you in CAF. You rely on your home games. You rely on you getting maximum points, and Chiefs can't just win at home. Their biggest problem they're conceding. Another biggest problem is the fact that they can't score goals. They're not scoring enough. Castro, not doing enough as a striker. Nokovic has been off for a number of games, so he's a bit rusty. It's going to take some time for him to be match fitness. Billet, unfortunately, out of the game. Noble on the bench. Chiefs fans calling for Noble. Why was he on the bench? Um, and when you look at how Tibet is performing in Swallows, you now ask the question, why was Tibet not called back to Kaizer Chiefs? So, uh, yeah, Kaizer Chiefs, it's almost as if the more they play, the more questions are being asked rather than questions being answered. And this is something that's very concerning from their side. So they need to really sort it out. But Maritzburg, they keep on improving. Judas, he's the kryptonite of Kaiser Chiefs, guys. Like sometimes we make jokes before the game, but the guy scores a brace against Kaiser Chiefs. I think that says it. This guy just loves playing against Kaiser Chiefs, and Kaiser Chiefs has no answer. They don't know how to defend against this guy. They don't know how to deal with this guy. I saw Ungezane being physical with him and stuff, but unfortunately couldn't do that throughout the match. Pahlele, who I would say he didn't have a bad game. He was solid. It just happened. Look, Mpahlela is just one guy. You can't expect Mpahlela to do everything. But you probably see it your way. I've said what I said, guys. I hope what I said was insightful and you enjoyed what I said. It's the Master Tactician fan, Khoza Irvin. You must just comment, have your say, and just tell me what from yesterday to today. What was it? But I'll catch you guys again. Probably maybe midweek or so, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, just tell me what you think. Comment on what you saw in the game or what I said. I'm signing out. Cheers. And look, man, you must subscribe. Um, and I don't know about maybe it's premature or what, but um, some friends are calling for Hunt to be sacked. Maybe it's just emotions for now. But let's give it during the week. If people would still want Kevin Hunt to go. But anyway, like I said, subscribe and turn on the notification and comment. And you can also find out on all social media platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. It's the Master Tactician fan signing out. Cheers, guys.